Brent, president of B2C Fitness, and we're talking about our chest resistance training progressions, or our chest strength training progressions. Specifically, we're talking about our stability progressions. The last exercise in that stability progression is a standing press, or cable standing band press. Now, despite this being at the end of our stability progression, it is also an extremely functional exercise. One of the problems I do have with push-ups, dumbbell press, bench press, is we just don't do that much activity in life from a lying position with our back stabilized and then push. We need to finally get people up, standing, stabilizing our core, and then push. I'm going to have Laura come out and help me demonstrate this exercise. Good. First thing we want to do is mind our 5 kinetic chain checkpoints. So we're going to make sure her feet, knees, and hips are all in one line. We're going to make sure her feet are parallel. Be careful, that back foot has a tendency to like to turn out. We want to make sure we're straight in line. People do have a tendency to get to an anterior pelvic tilt. We want to make sure that they stay tucked under. Right? One way you guys can help keep that position is have them squeeze their glute, squeeze their quad, drive their heel through the floor, making sure that glute stays real tight, and then draw in. If they do that, generally this will stay nice and in alignment. We're going to have them bring their hands up to a position just below shoulder level, but everything lined up in the transverse plane. They're nice and stable. You can go ahead and cue them, push through as far as they can. One thing we do not want to have happen, guys, is every once in a while we'll see somebody do a chest press, but maintain retraction. Make sure that they go ahead and push all the way through. That's the radius anterior strength. That protraction at the end is actually extremely important to our functional mechanics. The other dysfunction that you will commonly see in a chest press is people who have an inability to stabilize their scapula. And when this happens, we usually see one of 2 things. Either they'll push out and start to protract and elevate. We get all this compensation happening, all these overactive synergists pulling in the wrong direction. Or we might see somebody who can push out perfectly, and then as they're coming back, they start to go into elevation because they can't stabilize. If that's the case, we're probably going to have to regress from a relative stability standpoint. Now, our relative stability progression for the chest is sagittal plane first if somebody has any upper body dysfunction. As we correct that upper body dysfunction, we'll be able to move into the transverse plane. And then once we have an optimal, we'll be able to go into like an incline press. So I'm going to have Laura here go ahead and demonstrate the sagittal plane press. I find that the cueing for this is easiest by having them start with their elbows close to their side, and then they're just going to push straight out, like they're pushing somebody out of their way. Now this is the first exercise in our relative stability progression because for the most part it maintains space between the acromion and the humeral head right here in the shoulder. Most of the problems we have with upper body dysfunction from a pathological standpoint, like inflammation, impingement, all of that stuff, happens because the humeral head gets butted up against the acromion in this position. As you can see, Laura does not have a problem with this exercise. Her upper body mechanics are pretty good. So I would go ahead and progress her to a transverse plane press. She does pretty good with that. We might even try an incline press, lower the band. Nice. And obviously her mechanics stay fine. So from here we start working on our stability progressions. Now our upper body stability progressions are going to be going from bilateral, so 2 hands, good, to alternating, which is just 1 hand at a time, but she still maintains that other weight in her hand, giving her some counterbalance, to unilateral. Notice, guys, if we do a unilateral press, that the arm opposite the leg that's back is the one that's doing the work. So we got, in this case, right arm, left leg. This leg's back, this arm's pushing forward. Those cross-body patterns are very important. I'm going to go ahead and give Laura this back so we can show you guys the lower body progression. Our lower body progression for the chest press is going to be, of course, staggered stance, which is nice and stable, to feet together. Good. Go ahead and squeeze your glutes, tuck under, make sure the kinetic chain checkpoints are still aligned. forward. We're going to have you lean forward just a little bit. There you go. Good. People are going to have to lean forward as the weight gets heavier, guys. It's just physics. All right? We just want to make sure they still maintain a straight line. We don't want them leaning back at the top and then straight at the bottom. Good. Laura does this perfectly. So maybe we could then, with Laura, go back through the upper body stuff. Or we could get really tough and we can go to a single leg. We're going to have Laura give this a shot here. That's pretty good. All right, so Laura still has her glute squeezed. She's still drawn in. She's keeping pretty good form. That looks pretty unstable. I think at this point we probably stop and let her work on this for a couple weeks before we progress to our next exercise. Guys, our stability progressions, we use 12 to 20 reps, a weight that is going to make sure we have momentary fatigue within that 12 to 20 reps and we can keep a nice slow tempo. Thank you.